Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So no new Netflix Avatar news this time out. The marketing seems to have slowed down a little bit after the initial kind of trailer push, then the follow-up kind of clips and interviews. I think this was always going to be roughly what they did, that there was a bit of a slowdown in terms of the kind of 3 weeks to go, getting into 2 weeks to go. I assume they'll say something about like, hey, 2 weeks to go until the show, we'll get something maybe new at that point. And then we'll be in the build-up where I guess we'll be seeing maybe some early reviews, some kind of final clips, that sort of thing before the actual release. Because we're getting pretty close now, and I think there will be a bigger push just a little bit closer to release. I don't really think there's a slowdown in any way as like a response to some of the more critical kind of reactions that have come out in the kind of final few days of the big marketing stuff in terms of interviews. I think this was always going to be the case. But anyway, what this news is actually going to be about in this video is going to be all about some publishing stuff here. So we'll start off with a new book here. So from Insights, aka Insight Editions, we have Avatar: The Last Airbender Appa Plush Journal, coming out 10th of September 2024. It's going to be 184 pages. Here are the dimensions. It's going to be $25, so it's going to be reasonably expensive, but it is not just a journal, it is a plush journal. So to go through some of the images, obviously inside cover, this is kind of what it's going to look like. Appa image, this belongs to, write your name. Background is obviously new Avatar Studios-esque art. This background is probably most obviously seen on like the Avatar Studios website and stuff like that. So highlighting that it is using some of the newer images available to kind of publishers. The actual pages, of course, are going to be blank for you to write on, but there's some Air Nomad icons here, as well as other Appa images that you can't quite see there. In the corner. So we'll see if they do anything else with that as we go forward. The cover is obviously a bit of a placeholder because it is a why is it highlighted? There we go. The cover, of course, is a placeholder because it's so early. You can see this because, of course, it's meant to be a plush journal, and you can see from another example of one of these books. This is the Harry Potter Hedwig plush journal. So the Appa one is obviously going to look, I guess, very similar to this, with the kind of white fur effect, with the kind of black kind of bits of kind of, I suppose, felt or fabric for detailing. So you get a sense, I think, very clearly here for how this Appa one is going to kind of come out. There's probably actually going to be maybe a little bit more stuff like the eyes on Appa, just to get his kind of face and kind of belly across, and then like the wing here kind of comes off the edge of the book, you can see here that Appa's horns come off the kind of edge of the cover rectangle. So they're going for this kind of like fancy deluxe outer cover effect here, which I think could be very, very cool overall, and just as a little bit of a fun item. This the sort of stuff we haven't really seen over the last year or two. This is nice to have to kind of get back on track. Inside Editions, of course, did some journals for Avatar and Korra like 4 or 5 years ago, but they really haven't done anything with Avatar since then. So them kind of getting back on board is probably a good sign that we're building up to something, of course, with Netflix Avatar, and then, of course, Avatar Studios and the expected Avatar Studios marketing push at some point later in the year, of course. So one to just keep an eye out on. It's not a hugely important piece of merchandise, but people like to know about this sort of stuff because it doesn't really get talked about in a lot of places. So we'll see if they do any more of this sort of stuff. Like, it'd be cool if they did stuff for like a Momo journal. Maybe they do a Naga one for Korra. It'd be cool if some of that stuff came about. But yeah, that is for September, which should be right around maybe the time we're beginning to maybe find out some stuff about Avatar Studios, build up to New York Comic Con, which feels like it could be a big thing this year, but we have to wait and see. Then I want to highlight The Reckoning of Roku. Now, not super specifically just Edelweiss, but you'll note that there's no listing for The Reckoning of Roku in terms of the book. Now, that has been up here before. This is the audiobook version of it here, because you can see over here it's from Blackstone Publishing, who makes the audiobook version of the Avatar novels. Now, you'll note here they have the 23rd of July 2024, and this will continue this kind of trend across many websites here, including most notably the Abrams Books official website here. They have The Reckoning of Roku also listed as July 23rd 2024. The thing with this book is, of course, we got a delay probably 2 weeks after it was officially announced, that it was delayed into August 20th, 2024. What's happening here is that we're seeing a lot of the different places that have listings for this book change their dates back to the original date of July 23rd, because it's been a bit of a tradition with Avatar novels that they always release in or around the kind of last week or two of July. And it's always been a really kind of rock solid release date kind of format for the novels, and it was weird that the Roku novel was announced earlier than all other novels, but is also earlier delayed. So what's happening here? I can, obviously confirm. I've been keeping track of this for the last couple of days. Many of these sites did say August 20th only a few days ago. So Abrams Books for sure had the old date only a few days ago and have changed it to this. Amazon also, about 2 days ago, they also had the August date here, but you can see it is now July 23rd, 2024. So Amazon have switched just recently also. Barnes & Noble, pretty notably, they, of course, as you can see here, July 23rd, and they also have it listed as July 23rd down here. They also had August only a little bit ago. But interestingly, Barnes & Noble, if you click the different editions of the book, it switches over to being the 20th. So you can see here it's August 20th for the ebook, apparently. The audiobooks as well, the kind of MP3 CD version is the 20th also, but then even that stuff is beginning to change over, as I kind of highlighted here, where on Edelweiss, as you can see, this is a listing for the audiobook, and once again, I was surprised to see the audiobook listed, and it has it again 2 or 3 days ago had August 20th as the date. Just earlier today, like I literally had the page up, refreshed it, and new date. So it seems like they're in the process of changing this, because the new update is just that listings for the audiobook have gone live, and they're just maybe adjusting the release dates across the board. And you can see this in a few other places, like Blackstone Library, of course, themselves. They also have the new date as well. So that's quite interesting just to see all of this stuff begin to kind of come together, and that it's looking pretty clear that the book has got its old date back. Of course, it's hard to judge just because it's a weird situation. We don't often get sort of like reversals of delays, but it's a good sign, and it does seem like it's not just a mistake, because it's being changed on so many different websites and is, like I said, in the process of happening on many websites also. The other angle of this is this, which is, of course, the Rise of Kyoshi paperback edition. So it is also scheduled for July 23rd, 2024. And I suppose the question naturally comes up of, like, is that part of a plan, or is it a mistake that they're both coming out on the same day? That the cheaper paperback version of the first book releasing on the same day as the, original, the kind of premiere edition hardcover of the fifth book, is that part of like a bit of a marketing strategy, or is that maybe part of the confusion here of that this is why July 23rd keeps coming up? Either way, it's somewhat interesting. I believe, even though other places have had the date, Abrams Books have also just added the listing on their own website for the Shadow of Kyoshi paperback. And again, it is the October 15th date that we've known for a little bit if you have been paying attention. So the Kyoshi books do seem like they're finally getting their paperback release. Not that maybe it's going to be of interest to most people, but it's about time it's finally happening. But definitely the main thing here is this. The publisher's own website has recently switched back to the old date, and it feels like everywhere else is following suit. We will see what happens. I'm almost surprised with all the updates happening to the listings that we haven't got the cover yet. But based on, I think, previous times we've got the cover, it's been more of a March thing. But who knows? It's been a bit different with this book, of course. We're still very early in February, of course. We're right at the start of this week. I assume a lot of the solicitations for this month are beginning to come out. So we might see some extra edition, updates and stuff like that in relation to this book. As more places potentially switch to the new date, we might even see the cover get revealed. But again, that might just be speculation there. So in the comments, definitely let me know what your thoughts are on, of course, our first kind of news topic back here, that being the Appa plush journal. What are your thoughts on this? As just like, I suppose, some of the smaller pieces of merch in terms of publishing beginning to come back into play. And then the more notable thing, that being that the Reckoning Roku seems to be getting a release date reversal, a reverse delay. So that sort of thing. So I always like the July release. That is just a pretty consistent thing. I didn't mind too much that, maybe it was going to be delayed by a month, but I'm absolutely up for getting the book earlier than expected, of course. So let me know what you think of the situation happening with this, and also when you expect maybe Netflix to say something more about Netflix Avatar. But otherwise, that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.